from my standpoint anyway, as soon as that hub moves, you will change the contact point with the ground. And we start to lose the pressure off your feet. Our little friend Newton pushes into the ground, it pushes back at you. When you've got so much pressure on the outside of your right foot, this isn't pushing into the ground.
So on the inside of my right.
So you need to push on your left foot.
Push on my left or push on the inside of my right?
No, push on your left. I can guarantee you at this point in time, there will be roughly about probably 95% of your pressure.
Push on taking too much weight.
That's correct,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So as soon as you take the pressure off that, you're going to translate that way.
So keep the weight.
Keep some pressure on the left foot.
Look.
I can guarantee you, there's a difference between centre of mass and centre of pressure, yeah? So your centre of mass needs to be in the centre of your feet, essentially. And we're going to try and keep your axis on top of each other, so your sternum and your belly button, and you rotate around that. But what happens is, we start to feel like that's more powerful if I go over there.
Yeah.
And then those actually move around a lot. And now, in 2/100ths of a second, you've got to get from the top of your backswing here back to where you started from. You can even start to see it go backwards before you start the downswing.
Slide.
Yep. Which you need to.
Yeah.
You need that left hip to go that way because we're going to use the ground again. But if you have a look on the other side, that's going to be really, really difficult to replicate. That's where your bum started.
It's on the bums.
Yep. But that's only because of what's happened over here. Okay. And then, of course, the shaft is extraordinarily vertical to where it started from.
Which leads to my high inside cuts.
And flat hard lefts.
Yeah.
It's one and the same. It's just a club face position that changes. Okay. So from my standpoint, we're going to do a fair amount of work on keeping some pressure there and keeping that left hip where it is there. Reality is it will move ever so slightly. But if I can get you to be aware of keeping the pressure on that left foot and keeping that left hip a lot higher, we'll start to see some significant changes. I couldn't care less about what your hands and arms and what the club's doing at this point in time. It's not even an issue.
Okay.
We'll talk about some wrist mechanics.
Too much cupping.
That's severely cupped.
Okay.
And then therefore that's going to open the club face even more. Or you're going to have to store your body on the way back down and then your hands and arms come through and essentially make you extraordinarily weak. Okay. So we'll start with some pitch shots. We'll get you pitching the golf ball a lot better and making solid contact with the ground, which I imagine would be an interesting one for you. So I'm talking about lofted pitch shots. And we'll get the ground, or you contacting the ground in the same place each time. That's my only fundamental. Grip posture stance is something that if you walk down a range at any given tour event is different for every one of them. So that's a variable, it's not a fundamental in its true meaning. So the only fundamental is hit the ground in the same place.
Roughly where the ball is.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. So that's all we're going to do today. And I can see why you struggle with bunkers. Because if there's that much movement there in the bunkers, it'll be interesting. There'll be
shanks to the right.
Yeah. And if not, thin shots and killing Kenny Koala over the other side of the green, and then you'll hit a couple of fat ones in there and leave it at your feet, and there'll be a myriad of
description.
There'll be a myriad of different shots in there.
Yeah.
So, all right.